The mainstream media is hammering Donald Trump over a remark that he made about the Second Amendment and Second Amendment supporters. Earlier, we spoke with the Republican presidential nominee, Donald Trump, about that and a whole lot more. Take a look. All right, and joining us now is Donald Trump on the campaign trail. Big crowds. Polls seem to be changing. One poll today showed a 4-point difference, so things are a little bit better. Your take on the state of the race?
Well, I think we're doing well. I'm in North Carolina right now. You have to see the crowds. The folks are just so enthused, and they just believe so strongly in what we're saying. I'm a messenger. That's really what I am when you think of it, Sean. I'm a messenger. But the message is the right message. I mean, we want to take back our jobs. We want to make good trade deals. We want to have borders that mean something, and that might include a wall, and it does include a wall as far as they're concerned, and more so as far as I'm concerned. And by the way, Mexico will be paying for the wall, in case you had any questions. But, you know, many things. Our military is depleted. We've got to build up our military. We need it. We have to take care of our vets. You know, there's a lot of messages that we're giving out because there's a lot of problems that we have as a country.
You know, I know you've said you don't care. You're not begging for anybody's support if they don't want to support you. I know there were presidential candidates that made a pledge to support you, John Kasich and Graham and Senator Cruz, et cetera. And Susan Collins today said she's not going to support you. And, you know, I've interviewed you enough that I know your agenda. And we've seen your list of Supreme Court justices. You laid out your economic plan yesterday that looked pretty Reagan-esque to me, pretty conservative to me. I know where you stand on radical Islam and ISIS. We all know where you stand on the border. We know where you stand on eliminating Obamacare. What is your message to them? Because my message to them is they're helping Hillary. And if they help...
Well, they are helping Hillary.
Yeah, so
they are helping Hillary, and it's you know, sad to see, but you know, when I ran in the primaries, I had no support because I was running against senators, governors for the most part, and you know, these were very political people, and everybody was in favor of them, and that was fine, and I did great. And in some ways, I might be better off without so much support. But what people don't say is I have tremendous support. I have so many congressmen, so many senators, so many people, Jeff Sessions and so many others. We have unbelievable, Darrell Issa. We have so much support, but nobody ever wants to write that. They'll talk about a Susan Collins. Nobody even, you know, I don't even really know her. I met her one time for about 2 seconds. And, you know, they talk about others. And it's sad. And, you know, as far as the people that I competed against in the primaries, I won with a landslide victory. I won more states by many times. I won 14 million votes, more than ever gotten, almost 14 million, more than ever gotten in the history of the Republican primaries. And I know there are hard feelings, but, you know, you have to beat Hillary Clinton. And if we said nothing else, Sean, Supreme Court justices, just nothing else, take everything else out of the equation, because the next president is going to have probably at least 3 picks. It could even be 5. I don't know if you've heard that, but there's a good chance it will be 5. It'll be a record-setting number of picks.
Old people on
and our country will never be the same.
Well, that lasts for generations. All right, let's go over this, though. So on the Supreme Court, which will impact the country for generations, on vetting refugees, the economic plan, she's going to continue Obama's plan. We'll get into that in a second. She's not going to secure the borders. She's not going to identify radical Islam. We've seen the disaster of Syria, Iraq, Libya, Benghazi. She's not sending education back to the states. She's not eliminating Obamacare. She's not committed to fixing our VA or building up our dilapidated military. These are huge differences. And to me, it's gotten very personal. And I wonder if your daughter Ivanka hit it right when she said yesterday, they're afraid of you because the old order goes away. Thoughts?
Well, I can tell you, first of all, Ivanka's been a big help. She's been so fantastic and so respected, especially on the women's issues where, you know, it's very important to her. But I will tell you this. If you want tax increases, she's going to have a massive tax increase. Regulation, which is one of the biggest questions I get. When I go around, I've met so many people in this country, small business owners, big business owners, everybody. Their biggest problem is regulation. It's out of control. You can't even operate businesses. We just met a business in North Carolina, a printing business, nice, beautiful family. And the family is they don't know what to do because Obamacare is putting them out of business, and they've lost a lot of employees already. You know, the whole thing is very sad. but she's going to raise taxes. And I don't mean a little bit. I mean massive tax increases. So everyone's going to pay more taxes.
$1.3 billion.
You're going to have more regulations. You're going to still have ISIS, right? You're going to still have ISIS all over the place because she's not going to attack them properly. We got to take them out. We got to take them out big league and fast. You're going to have ISIS. That's what you have. You're basically going to get 4 more years, Sean, of Obama, and 4 more years of Obama is a disaster. It's unacceptable.
Let me show how bad
business.
it is.
Look at our growth. Hey, Sean, look at our growth. We basically didn't grow as a country. We didn't grow. The numbers just came out. They're the lowest practically since the Depression. And, you know, what are we doing? 4 more years of Obama. And I personally think, look, I think he's an incompetent president, but I think she'll be worse.
Let me go over some numbers with you if I can, because I think these are important, because Hillary's going to continue these policies. You gave an economic speech yesterday. Here's where we are. Since Obama's been president, there's nearly 12 million more Americans on food stamps, another 7 million in poverty, additional Americans. The average employer-sponsored health care premium has gone up for the family $4,170. That's a new tax. If you look at adjusted median household income, real dollars are down $185 per family. Each America's share of the national debt. He will accumulate more debt than all 43 presidents before him combined. But you can see every family now, every individual, nearly 60 grand. You see, if you look at the demographics, black Americans vote Democratic. Okay, how did they fare under Obama? Well, African Americans on food stamps are up 58%. African Americans in poverty are up 8% under Obama. The number of African Americans not in the labor force, that's up 20% under Obama. The home ownership rate for African Americans is down 4.6%. Median household income is down in real dollars for the average African-American family. And here's some other numbers. It's the worst labor participation rate since the 70s, the lowest home ownership rate in 51 years, the worst recovery since the 1940s, and the first president that will never reach 3% GDP growth. And my final stat, he will, and we doubled the debt on top of it. So isn't that reason enough not to vote for Hillary to continue that?
Well, actually, I use some of your numbers because you do repeat those numbers, and it's good that you do because nobody believes them. But those numbers are right. Those numbers are right. And on occasion, I will take those numbers and use them at speeches, and people just can't even believe it when you look. Especially, you think in terms of home ownership, 51 years. It's the worst in 51 years. So many different numbers. We're doing so badly, and yet I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just habit. But you would think that the people would be sick and tired of this stuff. But it's a political rig deal. And the press is, the press plays right into the hands of these people. And they really are an extension, in my opinion. The press is an extension of Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. And that's what's going on. And people see it. I had an interesting case a week ago. I had this phenomenal arena packed with people, thousands of people, and a baby was crying, and we were having fun. You couldn't talk with the baby screaming. I said, the baby sounds like Pavarotti, had the voice of Pavarotti, and I kidded, and we had a lot of fun, and the mother was great. And eventually the mother left, and they said,
I had the mother on last
really?
night.
That's
she loves you.
Well, you know what they said? Sean, the mother was great, and we were laughing and waving and came back in, but the press, the headline the next day in some of these papers was, Trump throws baby out of the arena or kicks baby out of the arena. And I said, that's so unfair. And then people would come up to me for the last week and they'd say, Mr. Trump, why did you have to throw the baby out of the arena? I didn't throw a baby out of the arena. We were having so much fun. And the baby was great and the mother was great. And, it was just a wild scene. It was a rally with thousands and thousands of people. Everybody was laughing.
Well, we actually
and the headline was that I was kicking a baby out of an arena.
We actually
Sean,
played.
You have no idea. So many people came up to me.
We're having fun with the kid.
I was having fun. But so many people came up to me in the last week. Mr. Trump, I really like you. I'm voting. But don't throw babies out of an arena. That's terrible. And it's just so sad. And, they're just dishonest. And they know that. And everybody. And by the way, you had the mother on. And the mother was also a little bit in the papers. And she was so terrific. She said it was fantastic what took place.
Yeah.
So it's very unfair.
Well, speaking of unfair and media coverage, because, like, for example, all the statistics I put up on the screen, which are 100% vetted and true, you won't hear or see that anywhere else because the media has an agenda. Now, I'm an opinion host. I've told everybody I'm voting for you. I'm pulling the lever for Donald Trump in this election.
Wow, that's very nice. Thank you.
They're dishonest. They don't tell who they're voting for, but it's obvious because they won't put the numbers up that I just put up. I'll give you another example. Earlier today, you were talking about the Second Amendment. And I'm going to play what you said, and then we'll talk about how the media reacted to it.
Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. By the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, that will be a horrible day. If Hillary gets to put her judges, right now we're tied. You see what's going on? We're tied because Scalia, this was not supposed to happen. Justice Scalia was going to be around for 10 more years at least, and this is what happens. That was a horrible thing.
You know, so obviously you're saying that there's a strong political movement within the Second Amendment, and if people mobilize and vote, they can stop Hillary from having this impact on the court, but that's not how the media is spinning it. What's your reaction to it?
Well, I just heard about that, and it was amazing because nobody in that room thought anything other than what you just said. This is a political movement. This is a strong, powerful movement, the Second Amendment. You know, Hillary wants to take your guns away. She wants to leave you unprotected in your home. This is a tremendous political movement. The NRA, as you know, endorsed me. They're terrific people, Wayne and Chris and all of the people over there. And by the way, they've already, I just saw, they tweeted out, basically they agree 100% with what I said. And there can be no other interpretation. Even reporters have told me, I mean, give me a break. But they're dishonest people. What it is there's a tremendous power behind the Second Amendment. It's a political power. And there are few things so powerful, I have to say, in terms of politics. There is few things. And I happen to think that if they actually did even bring this up, I think it's a good thing for me because it's going to tell people more about me with respect to the Second Amendment. Because Hillary Clinton wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. And if she puts Supreme Court justices on, she will decimate your Second Amendment.
All right, when we come back, more of my interview with Donald Trump right after the break, plus the father of the Orlando nightclub shooter. Well, he was spotted sitting directly behind Hillary Clinton at a campaign rally yesterday in Kissimmee, Florida. So why isn't Clinton being forced to denounce his support? We'll talk about that later with Donald Trump. Also later, there are growing concerns about Hillary's health. We'll check in with our Fox News medical A-team. Also, Fox News is projecting that Speaker Paul Ryan will win his primary race easily. We are awaiting his press conference. That and more tonight right here on Hannity. First, a new Clinton controversy after the father of the Orlando nightclub terrorist attended Hillary Clinton's rally yesterday in Kissimmee, Florida. Now, he was spotted, you can see him right there, seated right behind the Democratic nominee. Now, earlier I asked the Republican presidential candidate, Donald Trump, about this and more. Take a look. So David Duke says something positive about Donald Trump, and you repeatedly say you denounce David Duke. And then they ask you again and again and again, denounce, denounce, denounce. And here's a guy, the father of this Orlando terrorist who killed 49 people at a nightclub, injured another 53 other people. He's right behind Hillary Clinton in Kissimmee, Florida yesterday. This is a guy who, after her husband, after his son killed all these people, said, well, the issue of homosexuality and punishment belongs to God. It does not belong to a servant of Allah, but I'm really saddened that he has committed this action. And then he said, our brothers, et cetera, our warrior brothers in the Taliban movement and national Afghan Taliban are rising up, so he supports the Taliban. And then all the Hillary campaign can say about it is, well, it was a 3,000-person rally, open door to the public. When you add that to the fact that Hillary takes money from a country like Saudi Arabia, where men tell women how to dress, women can't drive, women can't go to school or work without a husband's permission, gays and lesbians are executed, Christians are persecuted, you can't build a Christian church and you can't build a Jewish temple. The Clinton Foundation took up to $25 million and the Clinton Library took $10 million. Would you take money from the Saudis?
No, and I will say this, that I heard about that, and I saw the picture of him with a red hat, but it didn't have Make America Great on it, by the way. And she did not disavow. And if that were me, this would be a headline all over the world about Trump. But she did not, as I understand it, disavow this man. And he's got some pretty harsh views. So I think it's, look, it's a whole double standard, but we're punching through it. And I think the people understand. I really think the people understand. So that's pretty much it, Sean.
Can I just go through your agenda really quick? Because I want people that maybe want to understand, to me, what this election is about. Really, really quick. So that list of justices, that's the type of justice you will appoint to the Supreme Court, correct?
Well, I want to look, and we, as you know, I put 11 people in that were highly vetted and just people that are terrific. But another example would be Justice Scalia. That's what we're really looking for, as close to that as we could get. He was terrific, and that was not supposed to happen, and it happened because these things do happen. Yeah. But as close to Justice Scalia as we can get.
And you're going to lower the corporate rate. You're going to allow multinational corporations at a very low rate to bring back, and you're going to allow energy independence and expansion. Do you think you can become, America can be energy independent in 4 years?
I do, if not sooner. I do, absolutely. Companies are being put out of business. Companies in the energy business are being put out of business by regulation and horrible, horrible rules that they're making up on a daily basis, and they're putting all of these people. I'll give you an example. The miners are being put out of business. Hillary Clinton wants all miners out of business, and I think it's one of the reasons I'm doing so well in Ohio and Pennsylvania.
You'll expand
lots
coal
of different
mining
places, but the miners are out of business.
She said she wants to fire coal miners. They're going to lose jobs, and coal companies out of business. So you expand coal mining, you'll expand drilling, you'll expand fracking, nuclear, and new technology. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it's 100% true, all of it, 100% true.
And the plan you laid out yesterday on corporate rates and repatriation for multinational corporations, that's going to happen, and about half of American workers won't pay any federal income tax under your plan.
A tremendous amount will not pay anything, and the rates are going to be very low. The tax cut is massive, and the corporate tax cut, people are going to bring back companies. They're going to start companies. The jobs are going to flourish, and I think we'll go over the 4%. Right now, we're practically at nothing.
And you will not allow refugees in from countries that practice Sharia, or where our National Director of Intelligence, FBI, CIA Director are warning that ISIS will infiltrate without proper 100% vetting.
That is correct, 100%.
And you will build that wall. How certain, who was it? Jeb Bush said he's not going to build that wall. It's never going to happen. Is that wall going up?
Oh, we're going to build the wall. We need the wall. The security, as you know, the Border Patrol agents, 16,500, they endorsed me. And when they did, I said, tell me, the wall, really important? They said, Mr. Trump, we desperately need it. The wall we want, the wall we need. And we're going to have the wall, and Mexico's going to pay for the wall, by the way, Sean, just in case. They're going to pay because we lose so much money in terms of trade deficit with Mexico. Mexico will pay for the wall.
And let's talk about Obamacare. You've talked about eliminating it. You've talked about portability, pre-existing conditions, and health care savings accounts. Do you believe health care savings accounts is the antidote?
Well, I think it's one of them. I think it's a great alternative. They work. They're fabulous. You can move. You can do whatever you want to do. Everybody wants them. You'll save money. You'll have much better plans. I mean, look at what's going on with Obamacare. The rates are going through the roof. Deductibles, I mean, you won't even get to use it unless you have a real big, long-lasting problem. No, it's certainly one method, and there are many, by the way, Sean. You know, I know you always mention that, but there are many methods. Yeah. But they'll all be better. And you don't have to be limited to one or two. We can use other methods. But people will be paying a lot less money. Sean, they'll be paying a lot less money for a lot better care.
You talked about really building up America's military. That's going to cost money. I did read a critic of yours from your economic speech, and they said, well, he's not dealing with spending. He's not dealing with entitlements. Would you eliminate baseline budgeting and built-in increases that every department has in Washington?
Yes, the answer is yes. What we have to do, Sean, We have to build up our military. Our military is so depleted, we have to build up our military. There's nothing we can do about that. We've never needed a military just about so badly. So the military itself has to be built up. And we can't do anything about that. At the same time, I'm sure we can do it for a smaller price than most people would think, because that's what I do. It's called negotiation.
You know what?
But we have to build up our military. It's very depleted.
For all those people that say they're Republicans, that just, we went down the entire list of differences now between you and Hillary. And if they're going to stay, you know, on this never Trump thing, they're responsible for her Supreme Court picks. They're responsible for the refugees that are unvetted. They will be responsible for whatever illegal immigrants do. They'll be responsible when we have a depleted military and a crisis comes. So I think this is a compare and contrast election to me. Very different visions for the country, Mr. Trump.
These are terrible people. Look, these are terrible people. They're endorsing because I don't want them. The people that are there now, I don't want. Look at the world. Look at what's gone on with the Middle East. I mean, it's a mess. These are the people that are advising. These are the advisors. These are hangers-on. They couldn't make a living in the regular private sector, frankly. And they know I don't want them. I've never spoken to these people. I don't know who these people are. So, look, these people are not the kind of people we want. These are people that have given us a messed up world. You look at North Korea. You look at the Middle East. You look at every single thing we're doing. It's a mess.
It's scary.
You know, they form because Trump isn't their kind of a guy. I don't want these people. We're going to have so much better. It's going to be so much better, Sean. Your head will spin. So much better.
Mr. Trump, always appreciate your time. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sean.
And coming up tonight, Fox News projecting that Speaker Paul Ryan, this is a Fox News alert, Fox News projecting that Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, will win the primary race for his congressional seat. And we are awaiting a press conference from the Speaker. And we'll take that to you live as soon as that happens. Joining us now is former Clinton pollster Doug Schoen, Fox News senior correspondent Geraldo Rivera, Trump campaign advisor and pollster Kellyanne Conway is with us. Good to see you all. All right. We'll get to Speaker Ryan in a second. You see this controversy emerging. I watch this again and again. The only people that are interpreting this that way are Hillary supporters. Now, I do support Donald Trump. He's not talking about, oh, the Second Amendment guys are going to take care of her. He's saying, hey, there's a lot of them if they get out and vote because they're so passionate about it. The interpretation's easy, but the media is obsessed with taking things out of context. Why?
They're also obsessed, Sean, with only covering one candidate in this race, Donald Trump.
It's true, right?
Today, I thought, was Exhibit A and exactly what's wrong with this election cycle's coverage. You have Omar Mateen's father attending Hillary Clinton's rally right behind her, and then when interviewed why he was there, it was revealed that he's a registered Democrat. He's on the list. He felt that he was welcome there because he said it's a Democratic Party, anyone can come. And then what else did he say? He said she'll be, quote, great for national security. This man's son killed 49 innocent people 20 miles away from the site of the rally. If that's not an outrage, I don't know what is. And by the way, does everybody remember what the father said at the time?
Absolutely missing the point of burying the lead, Kellyanne. It's not fair.
This is not about the fail in advance. Everybody keeps saying, oh, the other networks today are covering us. The advance failed.
How many times front page on every newspaper in the country tomorrow?
But that doesn't mean it's right because they're biased.
I'm telling you, the guy's running for president. He's got the front page of every newspaper in the country saying that he's seeking Donald Trump.
Wait a second. Where do you feel less safe? Do you feel less safe with the Orlando massacre's father steps away from you at a rally? Or do you feel less safe at a Donald Trump rally where he's telling you you have a right to carry and protect yourself?
I love Donald Trump, and he shot himself in the foot today.
No, he didn't. He was talking about the Second Amendment.
Historians will point to this and some of these other self-imposed gaps to suggest that the Second Amendment people, in an offhanded remark, that even the Secret Service felt compelled to respond to.
Let me ask you a question.
He was telling them, mobilize, mobilize, and stop the gun grabber.
Everywhere.
Geraldo, do you really, in your heart of hearts, think he was talking about?
Absolutely not.
All right, then wait a minute. If you understand that, and then you've got to believe the American people are, excuse me, hang on, hold your breath, are as smart as my friend Geraldo, and that they get it. He's saying that this is a huge voting bloc, and here's the problem. When Donald Trump, when David Duke said nice things about Trump, how many times will you denounce it? How many times when is Hillary going to denounce this guy?
Duke, and I was in South Carolina at the time. Kellyanne says, brings up Mateen.
All right, hang on a second. Paul Ryan's at the podium. He just won his primary tonight. We'll get back to you guys. Stay right there.
Who sought federal, state, and local offices in Wisconsin today. It's hard work, and I'm grateful that we had so many capable candidates to take part in the democratic process. I want to highlight one candidate in particular who was on the ballot in Wisconsin tonight, Mike Gallagher. Mike Gallagher just won the 8th Congressional District Republican primary. He is a Marine veteran with an impressive background in national security. The 8th District is a seat that needs to stay Republican. It's going to be a hard-fought race, and I am very much looking forward to campaigning with Mike during this fall in the campaign. I also want to speak to the residents of southern Wisconsin. On behalf of Jana, myself, and our kids, thank you. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your confidence. Thank you for your support in my efforts. I'm a 5th-generation Janesville native, and I've been honored to serve this 1st Congressional District since 1998. It's been one of the best experiences of my lifetime, and I'm humbled that so many want to see me continue to work on their behalf. People here, they know me well. They know I believe that to serve is to work to become part of the solution, not be part of the problem. They share my desire for political leadership that is inclusive, not divisive. They look at the horizon and they look for hope, not fear. Most of all, they want someone who works to effectively advance our founding principles. Look, there is a lot of real frustration in this country. There's a lot of anger that Washington just isn't working and that it seems irrevocably broken. The people want to see Congress and their elected leaders tackle our tough problems, not duck those tough problems. They're sick of the paralysis and they're hungry for results. And all too often, Washington fails to provide those results. In times as uncertain as these, it is easy to resort to division. It's simple to prey on people's fears. That stuff sells, but it doesn't stick. It doesn't last. Most of all, it doesn't work. Around here, we look beyond the noise and the static. Our strength comes from the principles on which our country was founded: self-government and liberty. Our inspiration comes from the notion that the condition of your birth doesn't determine the outcome of your life. And our desire is to see everyone get ahead and make sure that our children are left better off. And so because we want to bring people together, not divide them, because we want to break the gridlock, not perpetuate it, because we want fresh ideas, not outdated ideas, Republicans are offering a better way to fix this country's big, pressing problems. By taking a better way, we can reignite our nation's economic engine. We can lift people out of poverty and get them on the ladder of opportunity. We can restore our Constitution. We can have real patient-centered health care. And we can keep our country safe and free. This is how we turn this passion of the moment into a hard-won future. Through ideas, through inspiration, through inclusiveness, through an agenda that we can be proud of, through an agenda that can unite people. So we will take this agenda to voters across this country this fall, and I am confident that they will reward our efforts. Between now and November, I am committed to doing everything I can to make sure that the status quo, which isn't good enough, is not continued, because we can do better.
All right, that's Speaker of the House Paul Ryan. He wins his primary tonight and, of course, addressing the crowd. You know, one of the things, I didn't think this was ever really going to be a close race, but Geraldo's saying that is so inclusive. Here's the problem, Geraldo. Look at what
Ryan just said.
Here's the problem with what Ryan and Republicans, 65% of Republicans feel betrayed. And I'm not singling out Paul Ryan here, but he was part of the problem. And that is that they never followed through on their promise to use the power of the purse, their enumerated constitutional power, to defund Obamacare.
No,
they never
I tweeted in support of you when the Wall Street Journal came after you. I said that they were insulting your intelligence. They were insulting your intelligence and your profound wisdom on the issue. You totally get it, and I get it. But when Donald Trump says something so stupid that it allows people to talk about he has implicitly threatened
the life.
Geraldo is right, Sean. This is Paul Ryan's remarks were a response to Donald Trump.
I agree.
Unity, no fear. Geraldo's undeniably right. Sean, the polls are showing that Donald is dropping, not as far as the left is saying, but he's down 7 or 8 points.
There are
Good
two
news
polls
out of
today.
Florida
There's one out
and
tomorrow that I have
Ohio.
a preview
Bad news
of 4
out
and 5
of Pennsylvania. You can argue polls, but you know he's going down. He's got to do what Ryan said.
But listen, Doug, and I'll throw this to Kellyanne. You are the pollster here. I don't disagree that some of these things have been a distraction, but I also will say the double standard of media coverage is obnoxious.
True.
It's biased. It's abusive. Yeah. It's nonstop. Every single network is against this man at this point.
And guess why it won't work? Because the American people are smarter than all that. They don't like to be told what to think, who can win, who can't win, who's an unwashed rube, who's a racist. They're just so tired of being told everything, and they're tired of the disparate coverage.
I may be a rube, but I think what Paul Ryan said is the lesson of this, not to blast the media.
Okay, but he's endorsed Donald Trump. He's endorsed Donald Trump, Doug. But anyway.
And his message was compelling, inclusive.
But don't you agree, as somebody who worked for the Clintons, don't you agree that the media has dropped all pretense of any kind of fair, sane, or complete coverage? They're like a pack of lemmings masquerading as the media now. Yeah. They pick on one thing he says.
You're right, Kellyanne,
and they
but I've learned don't attack the media. Run your campaign with an inclusive.
We're trying. But Donald Trump today, Doug, tried to mobilize 90 million gun owners across this country and said, stand up against her trying to grab your guns.
That was his intention.
He's got to be more precise.
He could have more gracefully worded it.
All right, but Geraldo, hang on. But Geraldo, in your own words, you understood what he meant.
I understood because I know he did. I know he wasn't threatening the life of Hillary Clinton, for God's sake.
All right, so
I know that he wasn't. But when you put what he said in that, even the guy sitting behind him goes to his wife. He says, "Did you hear that? Did you hear that?" I mean, everybody had the.
Geraldo, they were drinking.
And then he goes tries to explain.
I can tell you,
have a joke.
Bill Clinton made mistakes.
Like that.
We told him not to do it.
Perhaps
Donald needs to listen.
But there's no sane person that believes that Donald Trump was doing anything other than mobilizing.
Front page in every paper in the country.
Because most newspapers in this country are abusively liberal in their bias, Geraldo.
But
Secret Service has to tweet. We are aware of this.
It's all social media. Guess what? Hillary Clinton wouldn't even take a question from the media today about
press conference.
She shouldn't take questions. She's well ahead. Why should she?
When we come back, the parents of 2 killed Americans in Benghazi in the terror attack filed a wrongful death suit against Hillary Clinton. Why isn't that on the front page news of those newspapers Geraldo's reading every day? Colonel Oliver North is coming up next. And how's Hillary's health? The Fox News Medical Aid team joins us. Welcome back to Hannity. Now, in September of 2012, 4 Americans were killed in the Benghazi terror attack. Now, the parents of 2 of those brave Americans that were killed, Pat Smith, Charles Woods, they've been on this program a number of times. They have now filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Hillary Clinton. Now, a spokesperson for the Clinton campaign responded to this lawsuit in part saying, quote, while no one can imagine the pain of the families of the brave Americans we lost at Benghazi, there have been 9 different investigations into this attack, and none found any evidence whatsoever of any wrongdoing on the part of Hillary Clinton. By the way, also breaking just now on the other story we've been talking about tonight, finally, the Clinton campaign, finally, 2 days later, now says Hillary Clinton disagrees and disavows the support of the Orlando terrorist father. Joining us now with analysis, the host of War Stories, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North. I don't believe for a second that they didn't know this guy was in the crowd. He was right behind Hillary. Those seats are usually people are handpicked for those seats. Don't you agree?
Well, look, either that or someone in the campaign is now looking for somebody to cover their 6 because letting the guy sit there. It does tell you a little something about this campaign, however. This was a non-story except on this network. I mean, no one else was talking about it. It gives further credence to what you've been saying and what Mr. Trump has been saying about the bias in the media. It's definitely there.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the coverage. Look at all the coverage of him saying, yeah, there's a lot of. Go ahead.
No, but what they've done is they got out there within 48 hours. I grant you it took a little longer than I expected because they do have a quick response cell. Undoubtedly, they focus grouped this, got a poll on it, said it would be better if she came out that says, I denounce the guy, I don't want his support, etc. But you're right. Somebody had to have purposely seated him right where he was.
All right, next question. So they talk about 9 investigations. Here's what we do know. These are the facts, is that after the Benghazi committee report, they had 600 separate requests for security before the attack denied, while the Red Cross and Great Britain were leaving. Then during the attack, Hillary Clinton, 4 hours into it, was the top cabinet official, and her big concern was begging permission from the Libyans to go in and save these Americans under fire. They were watching it in real time, and then they were sending Marines and brave servicemen to change their clothes 4 times because they didn't want to offend the Libyans if we sent in Americans in uniform to save Americans under fire, knowing it's a terror attack, and then she lied afterwards. So I actually think there might be validity to this. How far does this lawsuit go?
Well, I'm certainly not a lawyer. I'm an infantry officer turned, correspondent and war correspondent for Fox News. Look, they're charging negligence and reckless actions by Mrs. Clinton and defamation, and that she's lied about what she told them. So they may have a pretty powerful case. They've certainly got some very powerful testimonial evidence from FBI Director Comey, who called Mrs. Clinton extremely careless, in other words, for negligence,
well, he also said
how she handled the classified information.
Well, he also said she's a liar. So that's interesting. Yes. And she told her daughter, the Libyan president, Egyptian prime minister, it was a terror attack, and she was telling us it was related to a YouTube video and spontaneous.
Well, look, I don't know what the judge is going to do with this case, but you know what the so-called mainstream media is going to do. They'll ignore it, just like they've ignored all the other deceit and dissembling of the Obama, Clinton, Kerry regime since 2009. Yeah. None of this stuff has gotten the coverage it deserves.
Well, she lies about her email server. She lies about Benghazi. She seems to get away with it every time.
Well, she does, because our colleagues, that's what we call them, right? Our colleagues, are not reporting this. Well, look, I mean, the fact is,
I'm not in the same business as them.
The fact is that our, quote, colleagues in the media choose what they want to cover, how they want to cover it, and what they're not going to cover. For example, the $400 million ransom. Has anybody asked her whether she wants to denounce that? Has anybody says if she approves of it? Has anybody asked her, would she keep Iran
I'd like to know why she took money from
Hezbollah?
Saudi Arabia that persecutes women and kills gays and persecutes Christians and Jews. Why did she take millions from them?
How about the existential threat of Iran and North Korea working on nuclear weapons? Those kinds of questions.
Colonel, we got to roll. Safe home.
Good to be with you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
And coming up, new questions being raised about Hillary Clinton's health. Our panel of experts weigh in straight ahead. Her medical condition, as well as give us maybe those Wall Street speeches and big bank speeches. And joining us now with reaction is board-certified neurologist and headache specialist, Dr. Daniel Casasilla. And from the Fox News Medical A-Team is Dr. Mark Siegel. Dr. Siegel, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
All right, Daniel, let me start with you. Doctor, let me ask you, what do you see in her condition and some of these images where she keeps getting flustered or the coughing fits or you hear about the blood clots? What is your interpretation?
Well, my concern is going back to her concussion when she fell back in December of 2012, and then she had the reported blood clot. The blood clot cleared up quickly with the blood thinners, but Bill Clinton actually reported that it took 6 months of hard work for Hillary to recover from her head injury.
Is it possible she had a stroke, or do you really believe it was a head injury, traumatic brain injury?
I believe that she had a concussion with a possible brain injury. Of course, I haven't seen the medical records, but the blood clot, once it cleared up, was no longer an issue. It was the latent effects of the concussion that I would be concerned about.
Yeah. By the way, I'm glad you're a headache expert, because anytime she or any liberal speaks, I get a headache. Dr. Siegel?
Sean, this is a year when we're looking into the long-term effects of concussion, and we're finding that we're underestimating this, that someone who has a severe blow to the head can have effects later on that even an MRI doesn't show. So at very least, I want to see her medical records. I think we have a right to see her records.
What about some of the weird pauses she has, the coughing fit she has? There are moments when I'm literally watching her and I'm thinking, okay, the facial expressions are odd. They seem off.
Well, I don't know this because I'm only looking at a video, but but I saw the same video you saw, and I'm wondering about a word called aphasia, where you're searching for words, you suddenly lose those words, and that can be the sign, again, of some kind of traumatic brain injury or the after effects of a concussion. I'm not satisfied to just get a letter from Dr. Bardock, who's her primary, and say she's fit to be president. That's like getting a letter from an accountant. The taxes are okay. I want to see the
specifics.
I want to see what a neurologist wrote about
Dr.
her. Dr.
Costasilla, what is the worst case scenario from your perspective, based on what you know?
I would agree. I would agree with Dr. Siegel. I'm very concerned about the long-term latent effects of a concussion that show up as things such as memory loss, forgetfulness, difficulty concentrating, things such as that video that showed her pausing for a very long time as if she were searching for the right words, losing track of what you were even speaking about.
Could that be impacted by a stroke or a TIA?
It could, but it could also be, in this case, I think, more significantly affected by a concussion.
All right, guys, good to see you both. Appreciate it. That's all the time we have left this evening. Always thank you for being with us. We will see you back here tomorrow night.